Beginning on October 2nd, residents of Unincorporated Polk County will notice improvements in their waste and recycling services. Polk County Waste and Recycling values their customers, and they are committed to making these transitions as seamless as possible. Find out how right here. You're watching Polk Waste Wise.
Hey there, welcome to Polk Waste Wise, the show where we help to inform you about all things related to your curbside waste and recycling services. I'm your host, Dion Spires. I'm joined once again on today's show by Anna Wood, Director of Polk County Waste and Recycling. Also joining us is a very special guest, Commissioner Melanie Bell. Commissioner Bell, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to meet with us. On Polk Waste Wise, we've been discussing the changes and the updates to the waste and recycling services that residents are going to be expecting. But today I wanted to talk and get your perspective, Commissioner Bell, on the planning, implementation, and execution of this new contract. So the new services don't start until October 2nd, but before we dive into talking about what they can expect and recapping that, I want to talk about the preparation for this contract and how have the BOCC and the residents been involved in getting ready for this. Okay. Commissioner Bell, can you talk about that?
Well, from the beginning, when we started the RFP going out with the companies, we first met with the citizens of Polk County to see what they wanted in their new garbage services. What type of recycling, what type of bins. We met, had two community meetings. We had one in Haines City and then we had one at the central landfill. And we allowed residents to have an input and say of what they were expecting with our new services. So we met there 2 evenings, and it was a great turnout on both of them, both meetings. And all the commissioners were there to listen, and we listened, and now we've gone out for the RFP. We've selected 2 companies, and we have actually these 2 companies, we've divided them down Highway 17. We have an east company and a west company. So it will be easier on our staff in knowing which, trucks are where. And so as we divided that, we'll have the company that will be picking up on days on the east side and another company that will be picking up on the west side.
So you would say that a lot of this new contract is based off of resident feedback then? Absolutely,
absolutely. We felt that was very important because we've been in another contract for, I believe, 8 years, and there was a lot of unhappiness, I would say, especially when it came to yard waste, what to pick up. And so the commissioners have listened, we've heard, and now we've implemented for it to go forward on October 2nd.
Excellent. Now, Anna, your team has been working for months, if not years, on this contract. So can you tell me a little bit, just give a recap, because we've talked about it before, of what type of changes the residents will expect in this new contract?
Well, the changes are minimal because the residents will still see 3 trucks going every week in the neighborhood. We will have the garbage truck, the recycling truck, and the yard waste truck, and also we will have the bulk on-demand services. So from that standpoint, the services will be the same. Going forward with like Commissioner Bell referred to the yard waste, we have made more defined terms as to what will be collected. That way the expectation of the customer and the expectation of the county will be the same. And we also have made improvements in keeping the community clean by having guidelines in bulk waste as well.
So now that the new policies are kind of beginning to roll out, not being used yet, but residents are becoming aware, how have the residents been responding to this new contract?
Well, we have gotten very few emails on my side as a commissioner. I think they're excited. We're trying to get the word out that we're hoping everything will be seamless when the contract goes through on October 2nd. We're going to have extra staff answering telephones. We will have somebody that will be sitting live at a computer system watching the trucks go around and pick up, because all of the new dumpsters and all, they have the tags, so we'll be knowing who's being picked up and who's not.
Wow.
We even met with both companies last week, and they've already started doing dry runs. They plan to continue doing the dry runs. And they have even committed to, on the weekends, if say Friday afternoon we get a call and Mr. Smith's garbage was not picked up, they've committed to, they will be out on the weekends picking those garbage and the residents up, cleaning up Polk County.
Wow, so it's a very interactive kind of system that
Absolutely.
you guys have now. So,
Yeah, we have a contract in place this time, and we plan on holding, these new companies, their feet to the fire. Everything's, like I said, we've listened to our residents, and we've put that in writing.
so let's talk about that contract a little bit more too, specifically putting their feet to the fire. So from my understanding, this is a performance-based contract, and can you explain that a little bit more, what that means so the residents understand how accountable you are holding these haulers?
The performance-based contract is a new concept in the garbage business. And what it is we, instead of measuring 100 different activities in the contract, we narrow it down to the top 5. There are what the customers most value during the meetings that Commissioner Bell referred to. We also had workshops here in the administration building, and the number 1 on top of the list was missed collections or missed services. So that is one of the performance measures that we are going to measure the performance of the vendor. And we go into the point where we are accepting 93 missed services per month. And that is almost 99.9% performance, perfection. So it is a very strict contract when it comes to that. We also listen to our residents, and another area of concern is property damage and spillage, hydraulic fluids or garbage spillage in neighborhoods. That's another measure that we actually have a window of time when they need to correct all these issues. The other one is about the container, when the container breaks, if the wheels break or something breaks. So that's another measure that we have. And so those are the performance base is actually time bound. They have either 4 hours to correct the problem, or they have 24 hours to correct the issue. Things do happen, and we want to ensure, though, that if something happens, that the recovery system is there to ensure that our customers are satisfied with the service levels that we perform in.
Absolutely.
And that was a concept that the commissioners actually embraced and welcome, and I applaud them for taking the lead in such a radical contract, because like I said, there's no other contract like that in the state of Florida, and we have received a lot of feedback from other municipalities that would like to implement a performance-based contract.
And I also want to touch on, Commissioner Bell kind of mentioned this already, that there's a customer service team in place in-house with waste and
Absolutely.
recycling now. So
Yeah.
that's huge to be able to hear directly from the customers and respond. And they're able to report missed pickups and that sort of thing to your team. Can you talk about that a little bit, how they can get in touch with you guys and how easy that's going to be for them to recover those services?
Yeah, we're going to have a staff member that will be duly signed to answering telephone calls and also communicating with our staff so that we know who's out there and who's picking up and how many complaints are going on. And the commissioners, we all want to hear in the first month or two. We want, we're going to ask for reports that we want to see how their performance is, because like you said, this is performance based. So this is a unique contract, as Anna said, and we're excited. And to go on a little bit, we're excited about the new recycling program. We're going to be able to look out for Polk County for the environment. We're educating people. I don't think anybody has ever really probably more focused on educating the public about recycling now. And it's been done in the schools, but now we're educating the homeowners.
And to kind of wrap up this first half, I want to ask you guys, big picture, long term, what is this contract going to do to benefit Polk County and make a cleaner Polk County?
Well, I'm hoping, you can ride by roadsides now, especially out in the rural areas, and you see mattresses and dumping, beside the roads. And I'm hoping now that people will realize that, they can have this, their waste picked up, and they'll be educated on how it needs to be, put out by the road and all, and their recycling, that people will stop throwing things out their window and dumping, and that we'll be able to clean up Polk County and then make Polk County beautiful.
Anna, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think
No?
she said it.
She summed it up.
Yeah, and it's very important for the economic development of Polk County that if people want to move to Polk County, we want it beautiful, we want it clean.
Absolutely.
And so, we're always wanting new businesses to move in, new families to move in, and I think it's very important. People don't think about garbage being a roadblock, but it is. If somebody drives into the area, we have visitors. Tourism is a huge business in Polk County, so we want to make sure that Polk County is beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Bell, for taking the time out of your schedule to come talk to us about this.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned because after this, Anna will join me to answer some of your questions from social media. We'll be right back.
But I'll be there soon.
Wouldn't it be better to be a little late than not get there at all? Please take the pledge to slow down.
Sign the pledge at pledgetoslowdown.com.
Welcome back to Polk Waste Wise. Before the break, Anna and I were joined by Commissioner Melanie Bell to give some of her insight on the new contract and what it will do for Polk County long term. Now our team has scoured social media to gather a few of your questions and comments, and Anna's here with me to answer those for our viewers. So Anna, let's get started.
Yes.
So all of these questions came off of our the Polk County Facebook account. The first one that we have for you is, what paper products exactly can be recycled?
The paper products that we will be recycling are your typical cardboard, things that come in the mail in boxes. We also will be doing paper, regular white paper, if you have an office in your house or a printer, obviously, and newspapers. Those are the type of materials that we will be collecting.
Okay. And important to note, unsoiled cardboard. If it's
Yes.
soiled, it's no longer of value for recycling.
Yeah, if it has grease or any type of food products, yes, you are correct.
All right. So the second question, one of our Facebook users want to know, why no more water bottle and soda bottles in their recycling carts?
I don't want to use the word just water bottles because we are accepting the gallon, this type of plastic, the opaque, the half a gallon and the gallon. The reason the single-use bottles are not is a different type of plastic or resin. Not all plastics are created equal, and some of those plastics do not have the utility value to be recycled into other products. And since this is a curbside recycling, residential curbside recycling program, we have to meet the demands of the brokers that are buying these products.
What would you say to the residents who don't care about what the brokers say? They just want to save the planet.
Yes, saving the planet is important, and that is one of the reasons why our program has been designed to accept products that do actually have markets. And the reason it's important to hear what the demand is, so the people who are actually going to buy these products to make something new, that is why it's important, because even if we have the desire to recycle something like the bottle, the single-use bottled water, but if we don't have the market specifically where they are going to go, we actually not making the earth better. We are contributing to the pollution that is out there because of all the plastic that doesn't have a use for any new products.
Our next question from a Facebook user, it kind of ties in with our Save the Planet theme here, and it's a hot topic. They want to know, why can't they recycle their glass anymore?
We have used the word recycling many times to represent the end of the process, and just because we put it at the curb, or we have in the past, doesn't mean that it was recycled. Glass breaks, as we all know, and when it's transported, sometimes all the way to China, by the time it gets there, it's sand, and that actually contaminates all the products. It gets embedded in the paper, in the cardboard, even in the plastic that we do collect, and it devalues the product. And the impurities kind of makes it difficult or impossible to recycle.
Something else that some people are wanting to know is, why unincorporated Polk County? You said in the first half, we're kind of the first people to have a contract like this. Why can unincorporated Polk County not recycle certain things that City of Lakeland can still recycle?
Every municipality has a program that fits their needs. and the vendor that provides the service probably has a different business model, different reasons why they accept all these materials. We have a contract that is for certain materials that will guarantee that that product is going to be reused in the future. And that is the difference. We cannot compare ourselves, or they cannot compare themselves with us, because every program is designed to meet a specific need. Our goal is to ensure that our products are not polluting other parts of the world. If we want to truly save the earth, we have to start thinking, how can we produce raw material from this so it will come back again and not continue to use virgin materials to do products. And that is the goal of our program, is to be the supplier of secondary raw material to manufacturers.
How is eliminating recyclable items considered to be waste-wise?
Well, it is, because if we truly care about the environment, like many people claim that they do, we need to do research and understand that not all the products that are being created for packaging today have that value of being waste-wise. Being waste-wise for us is providing the residents with sufficient knowledge so they can make better decisions. Should I be buying single-use bottled water, or should I be using reusable containers? Should I be doing this? So it goes more than just putting you being at the curb. It goes beyond just putting garbage at the curb. Our goal is to provide our residents with a source of continuous knowledge, and to understand the impact that we have every day.
Now, we were talking off camera, and I think it's interesting to interject here that you said there's a lot of sources that people can find on the internet outside of this source, or even outside of our county website, to find out more information about why this is beneficial. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, there are several reputable websites that people can go in, and all you have to do is actually type, plastics, and you will have millions of hits. Some of them are more like the Plastic Association of North America. You have even the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, has good sources of information. You have also the Food Administration Association that talks about plastics. So there's a host of good sources. One magazine that is very good in our industry is called 360. And it's called Waste 360, and they have very good articles on what's happening in the recycling industry. We are actually in the forefront of changes, and that's another reason why our program is designed the way it is, because there are so many changes coming our way that we don't want to have our residents put something in the bin today or in the cart today that may not be usable tomorrow. So we're starting with the essentials, if you want to think about it from that standpoint, the basics, the essentials of the residential curbside program.
Now, we talked earlier about the cardboard being accepted in the new contract of recycling services. One of our Facebook users wants to know, do they have to remove the tape from, say they've got a package or they've been moving and they have tape on their cardboard box? Do they have to remove that for it to be accepted?
Well, it will be accepted regardless. I highly recommend that you do, but if it's there during the process, probably it's going to be removed once it goes into the manufacturing process.
Okay. Now, some of our Facebook users say that posting specific plastic numbers that will be accepted in the new contract would be beneficial and may clear up some confusion. So how do you respond to that?
Well, that's a very good question, and actually I have invested part of my career doing research since the 80s, because this is where the numbers appeared, actually was in the 80s. And the reason we're not using those numbers is that number in the bottom actually means what resin type is. As I said before, not all plastics are created equal. So what happens with the number is it was meant to say what type of plastic or resin was in that. Because we have an introduction of so many different types of plastics today, the chemistry has been changing. Sometimes a different plastic container may have a 1 or a 2, but it may have other ingredients in that does not make them equal. While using the number, which by the way is changing as we speak, these numbers are going to actually be redefined, and you will no longer see the arrows around the number that is being eliminated. And they are doing that to minimize confusion among customers, people that are recycling, and also to ensure purity in the recycling process, to ensure that the materials can literally talk to each other and are compatible in the recycling process. So that is the reason why we are not using numbers. One is changing. It's going to be changing within the next year or two, and we want to be in the forefront of that change and start now and not wait until 2 years from now where everybody needs to change the way we collect materials.
Right. So one of our users wants to know, can glass be recycled at big events in the cities that take other waste? Is there anywhere that they can take glass that if they want to recycle it?
To my knowledge, and I have made literally hundreds of phone calls to find a place not only in Polk County but in the state of Florida that will take glass, and the answer has been no. We cannot take even plastics. We cannot take a whole bunch of plastic into a business in Polk County and say, I want to recycle this, will you take it? They will not even take it, never mind paying you. The same with glass. We don't have outlets locally where people can take. Although I'm not saying that if a business starts a new business venture where they can use glass and they have an outlet for that product and transform it into a new product, probably yes. But right now we do not have a system in place.
A perception that seems to be among some of our residents is that Polk County is more concerned about making money than saving the earth with these recyclable materials. What do you have to say to that? Is it more important to make money than to save the earth?
It's not that it's more important one or the other. Our main objective is to ensure that the products that we collect will come back again into a new product. And that can only happen if you have a willing buyer to take these products and convert them into something else. Just because we collect everything, I will make many people happy if I were to say, just put everything in your recycling cart. But I will not be doing justice to you, the customer, or the environment, because at the end of the day, those products end up in the ocean, end up in China, end up polluting many parts of the world, and sometimes here in the United States. So it's not per se about money, but it's about choosing or selecting the products that have the best chance in surviving these economic, the economic phases of our country. So that's the reality. Yes, we do receive proceeds from these materials, but even the money that the county gets is not enough to cover the cost of having trucks go by your home and going through the whole process. So it's more holistic than just money. We're looking at how can we be good stewards of this environment and how we can have programs that will grow. A program that is sound, that has good products, will have the tendency to grow in the future and accept more products that can become, that become more viable to recycle then.
So a lot of people talk about, we're just going to throw more stuff in the landfill. We're just going to build up this landfill. And they see it as a very negative thing. Can you talk about the difference between a dump and a landfill and why filling up the landfill isn't necessarily as bad as they perceive it to be?
Well, yes. In Polk County, we're very fortunate that we have a landfill that was engineered and is managed to protect the environment, bottom line. But also, it becomes a storage facility for all of us. If you think about it, a landfill is like a mine. It's loaded with materials that probably will have value in the future. Some of the plastics that are going there now is going there, and they are secure. They are safe there. The environment is safe. So landfills are equipped to help society store of our waste in a safe and effective manner. And that is the difference between a dump. A dump is basically an area where you go and start just dumping garbage without concern about what happens to the liquids. When it rains, what happens to the gas. Landfills manage all of this, properly managed, and we are regulated by state and federal law agencies such as the Department of Environmental Protection in Florida or the EPA at the federal level.
So one of the big concerns that some of the residents have now that these new recycling roll cards have started to be delivered, some people haven't gotten them. They either didn't receive their postcard back when, they didn't return it, and now they'd like one. If they call now, they're not getting a recycle cart until January. So there's the concern of, I can't use my yellow bin after October 2nd. I don't have a cart until January. Are they unable to recycle for that 3-4 month period, or what do they do in the meantime there?
They can put it in their gray container, in their garbage container, and that material is going to be directed to a landfill where it's going to be stored. And I would say within the next 20 years, probably we will be mining or going back to the landfill, retrieving these valuable products if they're still valuable in 20 years from now. And if not, they being managed and they being disposed of it properly at the landfill.
Okay.
So the way I look at it, yes, for 3 months, many of our residents probably will not have the cart, but in the long run, comes January, you will have 7 full years that you'll be using your cart and you will be able to put all the right materials in it.
Right. Now, what if someone hears that and they say they really want to recycle during those 3 months? Is there anywhere that they can separate on their own and then take their recyclable materials to be recycled if they want to make a drive out to somewhere or something like that?
We do not have facilities in the county where you can drive it. And the reason for that, the county used to have facilities such as that, but they become illegal dump sites.
Okay.
And unless the people tend to put garbage, things that don't belong in there, so it became a very hazardous place to be around because of children playing in parks, and they usually used to be near parks or in open areas, and we do not have that.
Okay. Some of the residents are wanting to know their yellow bins that they have now. How do they dispose of that bin? Is it getting picked up? Can it be recycled? Does it get thrown out? What do they do with it?
Some of residents have asked us to keep those bins. They use it for storage. They can also use that for their yard waste container if they wish to do that. Or come October 2nd, if they would like to put it in their recycling cart. You can put it inside your recycling cart and put all their materials because that bin will fit perfectly in there, and you still will have capacity to put other items. So residents can keep it, or they can put it in their recycling cart come October 2nd.
And my final question, I think, for you is, some people have the concern, they see you're collecting less materials in your recycle carts. They have the concern that they're paying more money for less service. What do you have to say to those people? Your
services actually are the same. You still have the opportunity. 3 trucks will be going in front of your house every week. Your garbage truck, your yard waste truck, and your recycling truck. And then you will also have the option to have on-demand bulk collection. From a collection standpoint, you are paying less than $1 per service for each of those services. And that is somebody literally driving by your house every week. Right. I think a cup of coffee is more than that. So from that, and also the reality is that our residents have not seen an increase in their collection services since 2010. In 2012, the commissioners lowered the amount that we were charging our residents, so they saw a reduction. I believe it was like a 10% reduction in their services. And yes, now it's going up, and it's due because of inflation. You had a reduction and no increases. So yes, the services are market driven, and it was competitive bid. So the prices that we receive are very competitive. And I believe that is not per se an increase in the services. We are collecting the right materials for the right program for the right reason.
Well, thank you, Anna, for getting in the hot seat and answering these questions and hopefully clearing up some of the concerns of the residents for their services come October 2nd.
Yes, and just remember, if you have any more questions, please post them. Yes. And we will be addressing those questions in the next show.
Absolutely. That's all the time that we have to answer today, but as Anna said, feel free to keep sending your questions via social media or email at polkwastewise@polk-county.net. You can catch this episode of Polk Waste Wise on TV Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 1:30 and 7:30 a.m. and p.m., or on our Polk Government YouTube channel. Stay up to date on all things Polk County Waste and Recycling at www.polkwastewise.net. We'll see you next time.